A young man with messy black hair stares ahead, his face frozen in shock and confusion. Kneeling on the ground, Ren Kohinata, 22, looks up at a noble woman who coldly declares that he has nothing of worth. Her cruel words echo in Ren's head, leaving him stunned and speechless. In the next instant, his world shifts, and he finds himself in a modern Japanese city at night, under the heavy sound of trains passing on the tracks above. Running down the street, Ren suddenly notices that the woman from that strange world is gone. The buzz of his phone in his pocket pulls him back to reality. It's a text from a senior coworker, asking him to cover a shift, ending the request with a cute sticker. With no choice, Ren agrees, knowing he will spend his day off working since he has no girlfriend to see anyway. He sighs at his misfortune, remembering how a black cat crossed his path and a crow dirtied him earlier that day. On the night of March 24th, Ren sets out to grab a late meal, hoping to end his miserable day. Suddenly, his attention is drawn to a figure dashing down a dark, narrow alley. A hooded thief rushes past him, so close it makes him flinch. Moments later, an elderly woman stumbles into the street, shouting that her purse has been stolen. For an instant, Ren freezes, silently wishing someone else would step in. But with a sharp shout for the thief to stop, he forces his legs into motion and sprints forward. His teeth clench as he pushes his body to run faster, determination burning in his chest. Confidence rises as he quickly closes the gap, knowing running is his strength. Stretching out his hand, he prepares to grab the thief from behind. Then, with one final burst of effort, Ren hurls himself through the air in a desperate leap, only to have his vision swallowed by a sudden, blinding white light. As the world around him fades away, Ren finds himself once again on the polished floor of the grand hall, kneeling before the regal woman. A heavy-set king angrily demands that Mary check again, refusing to believe the one they summoned is worthless. Calm and composed, Mary agrees to her king's order, her face showing no sign of emotion. She bends closer to study Ren, who lifts his bewildered eyes toward her. In her gaze, a strange shimmering light flickers, and before his eyes, a glowing ethereal double helix takes form in the air. Ren gasps at the sight, and with a rare flicker of surprise, Mary speaks a single unexpected word: King. Still weighed down with despair, Ren admits he has no special abilities, nothing beyond being painfully average. He raises his head from the floor, his expression clouded with disappointment and confusion. The king erupts in anger, cursing the vast number of magic stones wasted on this summoning. Mary, however, presses him, asking whether he truly has no qualifications to be a hero. Closing her eyes in thought, she then turns to Ren, her expression impossible to read. Ren asks what he had been doing right before he was brought into this world. He explains that he had been in the middle of chasing a purse thief when it happened. Mary calmly confirms her judgment that, unfortunately, he is of no use to their cause. She reasons that the real hero must have been someone else, and Ren was simply caught nearby at the wrong moment. The bitter truth sinks into Ren's chest. He was summoned by mistake. The king continues to rage, demanding to know how this useless boy could possibly help them. Two armored guards remain silent, their stern faces watching the scene without a word. Slumped down on a bench, Ren feels despair wash over him, certain he is completely worthless in this strange new world. His thoughts drift to the stories in light novels and anime, where people brought to new worlds are always granted special powers. A question stirs in his mind: could he somehow see the abilities that the real hero was given? His eyes widen as he fixes his gaze into the empty air, focusing with all his strength. Before his eyes, the glowing, shimmering DNA helix appears once again, floating in the air. Ren realizes with a jolt that he can actually see it, and wonders if this strange vision might be useful. His eyes widen in sudden shock as he notices something new hidden within it. Narrowing his gaze, he spots faint glowing text woven into the strands. The words slowly take shape, revealing his abilities, infinite item box and several king skills. A wide grin spreads across his face, pure joy filling him at the thought that his skills include the word king, even if he is not the true hero. But his joy quickly shifts to fear as he imagines being forced into battle against a demon lord. Determined, he decides he must keep these powers a complete and absolute secret. His thoughts are cut short by Mary's cold voice, commanding him to leave the castle at once. Stunned, Ren pleads with her to either send him back home or at least give him the means to survive in this world. But she only scoffs, declaring that after all the effort already spent, she has no more concern for him. With a single wave of her hand, Mary orders the guards to throw Ren out of the castle. Panic rises in his chest as he cries out that without money, he will be left to starve on the streets. Her furious voice cuts him down, shouting that she doesn't care, and that even his death would only be a burden. A lone guard escorts the defeated Ren out of the towering stone castle. The man sighs, admitting the order was cruel, and offers him a small gesture of pity. Standing forlorn beside the armored guard just beyond the castle gates, Ren watches as the man tosses a single coin into his open hands with a faint clink. Tears blur his vision as he thanks the guard over and over, moved by even this scrap of kindness. The guard gives his name Ahab and explains he simply felt sorry for Ren's situation, though he seems like a decent person. Gazing at the wide landscape and the distant town below, Ren quietly asks where he should go now. Ahab answers that if he wants to survive, he'll need both money and work, and suggests he try becoming an adventurer. Ahab explains further that the Adventurers Guild offers odd jobs and monster hunting quests. Ren reflects on his desperate situation, knowing nothing about this world's customs or even its currency. He thanks Ahab sincerely, thinking that even though the queen was cruel, he has at least met one kind soul here. To Ren's surprise, Ahab admits he is also from another world and urges Ren to do his best to survive. Soon after, Ren walks alone across a wide, windswept field, the heavy weight of his new reality pressing down on him. Step by step, he wonders how he will manage to find work in such a strange land. A fleeting memory of his old life comes back, his senpai's casual text message flashing in his mind. Lowering his head, he feels a bead of sweat slide down his cheek, and with effort, he forces a small, determined smile. He decides that he will do everything he can to survive in this world. His path eventually takes him into the lively square of a medieval-style town. Relieved, he realizes he can read the signs, and learns the town's name, Terrarian. Following Ahab's advice, Ren soon finds the large timber-framed Adventurers Guild. Pushing open the heavy wooden door, he steps inside, his face filled with nervous curiosity. Behind the reception desk sits a beautiful blonde woman in a neat pillbox hat, her hand moving gracefully as she writes with a quill. Ren is immediately struck by her beauty, a warm blush spreading across his cheeks. She looks up and greets him with a bright, welcoming smile, asking how she can help. Gathering his courage, he walks up to the counter and explains that he wishes to register as an adventurer. The receptionist, who introduces herself as Farah, reassures him kindly that anyone is welcome to join. Her dazzling smile is so radiant that Ren instinctively flinches, completely overwhelmed by her presence. With practiced grace, she presents him with his freshly made adventurer card, its design marked with 2 entwined dragons. Then, with the same gentle smile, Farah begins to explain the guild's ranking system, from F at the bottom all the way up to S at the very top. Pointing to a pyramid-shaped chart, Farah explains the rules for accepting quests according to rank. Ren listens carefully and finds the system surprisingly easy to understand, remarking that reaching S rank must be an amazing achievement. With a calm smile, Farah gently clarifies that no S rank adventurers currently exist. Ren realizes then that the entire system works like a National Reserve Corps, meant to be called upon in times of great crisis. Farah gestures toward a large wooden bulletin board covered with parchment quest notices. She explains that for beginners, tasks such as goblin subjugation are usually the first step. Ren can't help but look a little disappointed, thinking that dealing with goblins sounds like a tiresome chore. Farah only smiles warmly and encourages him to go ahead and choose a quest from the board. To his surprise, she suggests he take on 3 different quests at once. Looking over the forms, Ren does a quick calculation and decides he should be able to complete them all before nightfall. Still, Farah warns him that failure will negatively affect his adventurer card and standing within the guild. With a bright, encouraging smile, Farah completes Ren's registration and wishes him good luck. Ren clenches his fist with determination, ready to take on his very first job in this new world. His journey begins not with battle, but with a simple task sweeping the courtyard of a small cottage for an elderly woman. She smiles warmly as she watches him work, praising his strength. With a gentle, somber tone, Ren remarks that her life must feel lonely. She shakes her head softly, explaining that with time she has grown used to solitude. Concern flickers across his face as he asks whether the country is dangerous. She assures him that there is no war, though monsters had attacked the town not long ago. Hearing this, Ren feels a deep sense of relief that he was not chosen as the hero. The woman thanks him sincerely for helping to clean her yard, her gratitude shining in her eyes. Later, back at the guild, Farah explains that the cleaning quest had been difficult to assign. Ren reflects quietly, grateful for the chance to learn more about this world, even through such humble work. Cheerfully, Ren tells Farah that he is heading out to complete his other jobs. He makes his way down a charming, narrow cobblestone street, the bright sky above dotted with soft white clouds. His second task has him carefully scrubbing the front of a local shop until it shines. For his third, he bends down to clear debris and dirt from a clogged waterway. Wiping the sweat from his brow, he pauses to reflect, realizing that both of his clients were widows. The scene shifts upward, showing a brick chimney rising against the cloudy sky. Back at the guild, Farah is stunned to see that Ren has already completed all 3 quests. He confirms her surprise with a calm nod, handing her the slips for verification. Smiling proudly, she rewards him for his effort and hard work. Curious, Ren asks about the value of the coins, and agrees when she offers to consolidate them. With a light laugh, Farah remarks that his suit must be a fashionable style in a distant country called Elric. Nervously sweating, Ren forces a smile, unable to correct her mistaken assumption. Farah compliments his clothes once again, saying they suit him perfectly for someone from Elric. She then explains the world's currency, where 1 silver coin equals 100 copper coins. With a calm tone, she also reveals the existence of item boxes, which are tightly controlled by royalty. Ren quickly understands why, if left unchecked, such power could cause chaos in the economy through massive trades. A cold realization settles over him. His own item box must remain a secret at all costs. Farah smiles warmly and asks if he would like to accept more requests, but Ren politely declines, explaining that he first needs to find a place to stay for the night. With her usual kindness, Farah offers to introduce him to a nearby inn, which itself happens to be listed as a quest. Ren's face lights up with joy, and he thanks her again and again. Following her guidance, he walks down a stone path leading to a large, rustic building. At the entrance, a graceful catgirl dressed in a maid's uniform greets him politely. She guides him toward a vineyard, explaining that she needs help with a cleaning task. Understanding that a magical mishap had caused the problem, Ren agrees without hesitation to lend his aid. Ren kneels down, his hand brushing against a cluster of fallen grapes scattered on the ground. Suddenly, a mysterious voice echoes in his mind, declaring that his king of harvesting skill has increased. Startled, Ren's eyes widen as he realizes the voice was something only he could hear. To be certain, he glances at the maid and asks if she said anything, but she only looks at him with confusion. Holding the grapes carefully in his hand, he wonders if something within him has changed on a deeper level. The maid interrupts his thoughts with instructions, asking him to separate the grapes from the weeds. Pushing the strange voice aside, Ren chooses to focus on the work in front of him. As the sun dips low, the sky slowly darkens, casting the vineyard in the warm glow of evening. straightening his back with a long stretch. Ren announces with quiet satisfaction that the vineyard has been fully cleared. Grateful, the maid smiles and offers him a generous bunch of grapes as a personal gift. She insists that it is separate from the guild's payment, a token of her own thanks. As Ren walks through the town at dusk, he reflects on the small amount of money he has earned. A chill runs through him as he notices how cool the evening air has become. He realizes this world has 4 seasons, and it must now be autumn. The thought weighs on him he will need to earn enough for warmer clothes before winter arrives. Above, the night sky is dark and hazy with drifting clouds. Eventually, he reaches the dragon's bedchamber the inn Farah had recommended. Stepping inside, he calls out, noticing that the tavern is quiet, still being prepared for the night. A small girl with short brown hair notices him and calls for her mother. Soon, a gentle woman with kind eyes appears, asking her daughter what she needs. Ren politely requests a room with 2 meals, and she replies with the price. The little girl, Ruru, peeks out shyly from behind her mother's skirt. The innkeeper, Nin, explains that her daughter has been lonely ever since her husband passed away. Ren feels a heavy ache in his chest, realizing that this is yet another widowed family he has met. Nin introduces herself and Ruru properly, and Ren offers his own introduction in return. Nin leads him upstairs, softly noting how he carries no luggage with him. Ren explains that all he has are a few coins and the grapes he received earlier. He admits that his clothes are strange and not very practical for this world. Nin and little Ruru listen quietly as he brushes it off, saying it isn't such a big problem. With a gentle wink, Nin assures him that dinner will be ready soon. Downstairs, a simple yet hearty meal of warm soup and fresh bread is set out for him. Later, alone in his room, Ren finally feels a wave of peace and relief. Sitting on the bed, he reflects on the mysterious voice and his plans ahead. He realizes his King of Harvesting skill had leveled up just from gathering items. His mind then turns to the item box Farah had mentioned. Curious, he decides to test his own power, wondering how to activate it. Speaking a command aloud, a glowing cube of light suddenly appears before him. Ren gasps in shock, struggling to understand why his item box holds so many things. The title page for Chapter 3 appears, highlighting the shining treasures inside his item box. Ren stares in pure disbelief at the massive number of items he owns. His thoughts drift back to the simple cleaning jobs he had done earlier that day. It dawns on him that the gold dust he found must actually be a rare, upgraded material. With a sudden realization, he understands that this was the work of his King of Harvesting skill. Picking up a glowing leaf, he finally begins to grasp how his strange power truly functions. A faint blush colors his cheeks as he thinks about the endless possibilities it could bring. For a moment, he dreams of living in luxury, but quickly shakes the thought away, knowing it would be far too dangerous. Instead, he firmly decides he must find a forge and craft himself some proper armor for protection. Absent-mindedly, he plays with the golden dust in his hand, noticing its soft texture. As he presses and rolls it between his fingers, the material slowly changes before his eyes. The golden sparkle fades, and it transforms into a strange white substance, no longer resembling gold at all. A flicker of confusion crosses Ren's face as he inspects the strange new substance. Lifting it closer, he senses something unusual and decides to test it. Activating his King of Forging skill, he appraises the material. A faint screen shimmers into view, revealing the name Orichalcum. His breath catches, and he stammers in disbelief at the result. The realization hits him like a wave. His forging skill must have transformed the gold into this legendary metal. Heart pounding, he quickly resolves to convert all of his gold dust into Orichalcum. After changing into fresh clothes, he prepares to head out. Opening his room door, he steps into the hallway. The wooden door swings shut behind him as the warm glow of daylight spills down the inn's main staircase through a high window, guiding his steps toward the day ahead. Ruru greets Ren cheerfully as he comes downstairs in the morning. The innkeeper, Min, offers him breakfast, but Ren instead asks if a client has come for him. Smiling kindly, Min gives him extra food and tells him not to worry about paying. As he walks through town, Ren reflects on how he ended up accepting her kindness. He feels glad he bought the compass and notes that his item box is easy to keep hidden. With determination, he enters a building and politely wishes a good morning. Behind the counter, the blonde receptionist Farah greets him warmly and asks if he has come for cleaning work. Ren eagerly confirms, explaining that he's looking for a job at a blacksmith's place. Farah raises an eyebrow, wondering if a simple cleaning job is really enough for him. But Ren reassures her that it's fine, he just wants to use the forge and can worry about any fees later. With his determination firm and a quest form in hand, Ren steels himself for the task ahead. He makes his way down a cobblestone street toward a large timber-framed blacksmith shop. Pushing open the door, he steps inside, his face showing a touch of nervousness. A dark-skinned woman named Elena greets him, confirming he's from the guild to fulfill a request. She gives him a quick, indifferent once-over, her appraising look carrying a quiet authority. The sudden weight of her presence startles Ren, causing him to let out a small yelp. Elena calls over her shoulder to the back of the shop, announcing that the adventurer has arrived. From the forge emerges a burly dwarf named Gutsy, who immediately orders Ren to clean the chimney without delay. Ren can't help but be starstruck, amazed that he's actually meeting a real fantasy dwarf. He sets about the difficult job, climbing a ladder with a long chimney brush in hand. Perched high on the roof, he prepares to scrub the tall stone chimney. He pauses to glance over the town below, remarking on the dizzying height. Settling into place, he suddenly realizes he only has water with him and no proper cleaning solution. A sudden thought crosses Ren's mind, his special item box. Reaching inside, he retrieves a bottle, which the system promptly identifies as purified water. Without hesitation, he pours it down the chimney, grinning as the stubborn grime loosens and washes away with surprising ease. Energized, he scrubs with the long brush, his movements quick and efficient. Below, Elena looks up in astonishment, praising his remarkable speed and dubbing him a cleaning master. Even the dwarf, Gutsy, pauses to watch, impressed despite himself. Stroking his beard, he gruffly offers Ren the chance to use the forge as a reward. Elena quickly adds that Ren will need to bring his own materials, explaining she would feel guilty letting him use theirs. Ren's face brightens with pure joy as he eagerly assures them that he already has the materials he needs. Gutsy grumbles under his breath about reckless youths rushing into things, his expression a mix of annoyance and curiosity. But then, for just a moment, something in his eyes shifts. He studies Ren in silence before giving a simple nod of approval, much to Ren's astonishment. Elena smiles knowingly, explaining that her grandfather seems to have taken a rare, immediate liking to him. She introduces herself as Elena and the dwarf as Gutsy, her surrogate grandfather. Ren bows politely, giving his full name Ren Kohinata, but asks them to simply call him Ren. Both Elena and Gutsy glance around the forge, clearly impressed with how spotless it now looks. With a firm nod, Gutsy picks up a hammer he had once set aside for his son. He offers it to Ren, saying a tool is meant to be used, not left to gather dust. Ren's face lights up with gratitude as he accepts the gift, thanking Elena warmly before stepping toward the workshop, eager to begin. He empties his bag, and with a loud clatter, a pile of glittering metal spills across the anvil. Elena gasps in shock, instantly recognizing the rare material. Orichalcum. Ren scratches his cheek, sheepishly confirming her guess. With a steady hand, he grips the tongs and lifts the glowing metal onto the anvil. Each strike of the hammer sends sparks flying as the metal radiates a brilliant light. The otherworldly glow grows stronger, enhanced by Ren's hidden skill. He realizes in awe that his king of forging ability is empowering the very material itself. Elena and Gutsy stand frozen, unable to look away from the miraculous sight unfolding before them. At last, the work is complete. A magnificent sword, shimmering with a radiant light, rests proudly on the anvil. Gutsy holds the blade in his hands, completely awestruck by the presence and power of the orichalcum. Excited, he asks Ren where he managed to find such a rare material, making it clear he wants some for himself. Though he explains he can't just take it, he quickly offers to buy any more Ren happens to find. Elena panics, reminding her grandfather they could never afford something so rare, but Gutsy insists on its priceless potential. Ren, on the other hand, quietly reflects on how this incredible metal came from what was basically trash to him. With a calm smile, he decides to offer the rest of his orichalcum to them as a gift. Gutsy is overwhelmed with joy, marveling at the metal's immense magical conductivity, while Elena looks at Ren with concern and asks if he's really sure. She apologizes for her grandfather's obsessive reaction, admitting he's easily carried away. Calling Ren a good person, she insists she can't simply accept such a gift, and instead offers to enchant his gear to help him face monsters. Ren smiles bashfully, admitting he'll need armor for his upcoming quests, and Elena winks playfully, promising that she will personally choose the perfect set of armor for him. Ren now appears in his stylish black and red adventurer's armor, complete with a flowing cape. Back in his room, he makes a firm resolve to work hard at cleaning as a way to repay the kindness he has received. Suddenly, the innkeeper's daughter, Ruru, shows up and startles him by asking what's for dinner. Still wearing his impressive new gear, Ren makes his way down the stairs of the inn. From the staircase, he looks into the main dining hall below, and is surprised to see it crowded with customers. The once quiet inn is now alive with chatter as adventurers enjoy their meals and drinks. Neen notices him and calls out with a warm smile, while the cat-eared woman, Ariel, happily explains that the ale Ren had provided became a huge hit. Realizing the ale is the reason for the inn's sudden popularity, Ren decides he should negotiate for more, seeing it as the perfect way to repay Neen's kindness. The following day, outside the inn, Ariel greets Ren warmly and tells him she has a request for him, thanking him sincerely for coming. Ren explains that the grapes he provided had been turned into the popular ale. Ariel points out that because of this, customers are now flooding to the inn, and she asks him to become their official supplier of the grapes. Ren agrees, assuring her he'll take care of the supplies and prepare the necessary paperwork. The scene shifts to the arched doorway of the inn, where Ren proposes they taste test the ale to confirm its quality before finalizing the deal. Neen nods in agreement, instructing Ariel to do the honors. With a professional and serious demeanor, Ariel raises the mug to her lips. The moment the ale touches her tongue, her eyes widen in shock as Ren and Neen watch closely. She sputters, exclaiming that it's delicious, far too good to remain a secret. Neen beams with delight at the confirmation. Ariel then declares the negotiation a success and promises to handle the matter with the Merchants Guild herself. Ren, however, is left bewildered, noting inwardly that her behavior doesn't resemble that of a mere maid. At that moment, Ariel formally reintroduces herself. Neen reveals that Ariel is actually her daughter and the true owner of the inn. Ren is left stunned, asking if she wasn't just a maid. Ariel smiles and explains that the maid outfit is only a disguise to judge customers' character. Later, as she and Ren stand outside the inn, Ariel calls his name. She thanks him sincerely, saying everyone in the inn is grateful for his help. She goes on to explain that the town is filled with hardships and arrogant nobles are a common problem. While most adventurers are selfish, she tells him, he stood out as different. Leaning in close, she leaves Ren blushing and flustered as she admits she has taken a liking to him, adding that she looks forward to their future partnership. The sky is bright and clear, marking the start of a new day. Ren, now holding a broom, receives thanks from an elderly woman for his help. The scene shifts to the exterior of a building, likely the Adventurers Guild. Inside, Farah greets him warmly at the counter. Ren reports that he has completed 4 cleaning jobs, and she confirms it. The blonde receptionist then asks if he plans to take on any subjugation quests. Ren admits he's anxious, explaining that he wants to get proper weapons and armor first. Farah advises him that staying in Frank forever won't help him contribute much to the guild. Ren reflects on the debt he owes the inn, which is now thriving thanks to his efforts. With fresh determination, he asks Farah for an F-rank quest and quickly finds one. His face drains of color as he reads the request: goblin subjugation in the forest. Farah studies him in silence, noticing his hesitation. Suddenly, she slams her hand on the counter and declares that she will accompany him on the quest. Ren is utterly shocked, questioning why a guild receptionist would join a subjugation mission. Smiling cheerfully, she reveals that she is also an active adventurer and tells him to wait. Still stunned, Ren stares at the now empty counter until Farah reappears, clad in practical adventurer's armor with a sword at her hip. Ren is completely starstruck by her transformation, thinking she looks incredibly cool. As they set off into the woods, Farah warns him that goblins are cunning and often make use of fire. Farah reassures Ren that her orichalcum short sword is more than enough to handle the situation. The two move carefully through the sun-dappled forest, staying alert for danger. Soon, Farah spots two goblins standing guard at the dark cave entrance ahead. The goblins snarl, baring their sharp teeth in the shadows. Hidden in the bushes, Ren grows uneasy, unsure if they can handle two enemies right away. Suddenly, a desperate cry for help echoes from the woods, making Ren flinch. A massive orc stomps into view, dragging a struggling female adventurer by the hair. Farah's eyes widen in shock as she identifies it as a subspecies and realizes the adventurer has been captured. In that moment, she understands they've stumbled into a dangerous mixed nest of goblins and orcs. Taking command, Farah tells Ren to cover her as she charges ahead without hesitation. Ren watches, breathless, filled with awe at the sheer speed of her attack. Farah strikes the orc with a powerful blow and urges Ren to keep moving forward. She explains that orcs usually drag their victims back to their lairs, so they must act quickly. Ren reasons that since the monsters were about to eat, this is the perfect moment for a surprise attack. Together, he and Farah step into the dark, ominous cavern. The space is wide, with rocky walls looming high above them. As they creep deeper inside, they peek around a corner and spot several goblins gathered further in. Farah carefully peers from behind a rock formation, studying their movements. To their surprise, the goblins are lying still on the ground, already paralyzed by darts. Farah explains that carrying paralysis potions is one of the basics of dungeon survival. She then instructs Ren to finish them off. Though reluctant, Ren knows it's a grim but necessary part of being an adventurer. Gritting his teeth, he steels himself and drives his blade into one of the motionless goblins. Ren lets out a pained grunt, wrestling with the harsh reality of the kill. Farah looks back at him with concern, asking if he can keep going. Ren nods firmly, wiping the sweat from his brow, and urges her to hurry so they can rescue the captive. With renewed determination, they push deeper into the cavern. Soon, they reach a dead end where a hulking orc stands guard in front of a crude wooden cage. Checking her pouch, Farah notes she only has enough paralysis potion left for a single use. Her eyes flick to a pile of bodies in the corner, and she realizes their time is running out. Quickly, she forms a plan to use the potion on the first enemy that shows an opening. The muscular orc crouches protectively before the cage, keeping its prisoner secured. Suddenly, a cloaked figure steps out from the shadows, startling them both. Farah curses under her breath as she recognizes it to be a goblin mage, and without hesitation, she lunges to attack. The goblin mage begins chanting, its hands glowing with ominous dark energy. A massive explosion of rock and shrapnel bursts from the ground before them, shaking the cavern violently. Ren cries out in alarm as the walls tremble from the goblin mage's devastating spell. Farah hits the ground hard, cursing her mistake. As the danger escalates, Ren steps forward, shouting for her to leave it to him. He'll handle it by digging. Slamming his hands onto the ground, he calls upon the power of his king of prospecting skill. His blade drives into the cavern floor, shattering the stone with ease. The ground beneath the goblin mage suddenly gives way, collapsing and swallowing the creature whole. Farah stares in disbelief, demanding to know how he can dig so effortlessly. As the dust settles, both of them stay tense, minds flashing to the terrified face of the captured adventurer. The silence is shattered when a new threat steps out of the shadows, an enormous, heavily muscled orc, radiating a menacing and overwhelming presence. It unleashes a thunderous roar, the sheer force of it warping the air itself.